We wanted to do that man something so bad so many times, but we couldn't. We couldn't. My auntie wouldn't let us. She loved the man so bad.
Court records show Raine had at least 6 domestic arrests dating back to 2005.
If you are in a domestic situation that turns violent, don't go back to it.
It was a calm Sunday morning on April 6, 2025, in the rural Whately community of Clark County, Alabama. Around 8 a.m., concerned calls prompted sheriff's deputies to perform a welfare check at a small home on Mary Aquilla Road. As officers arrived, the scene appeared eerily quiet. There was no answer at the door and no signs of life in the yard. Eventually, upon gaining entry, the deputies were confronted with a horrific discovery. Inside the modest residence, they found 39-year-old Ashley Danielle Howell and her 8-year-old son, Jayden, unresponsive and suffering from discharge wounds. Nearby, Ashley's 11-year-old daughter, Jayln, was still alive but critically injured, also struck by a discharge. The only other person in the home was 43-year-old Edward Bernard Raine, who was found gone from what appeared to be a self-inflicted discharge wound. The deputies sprang into action, radioing for medical assistance. Jayln, gravely wounded but clinging to life, was rushed to the local Grove Hill Memorial Hospital and then airlifted to a trauma center in Mobile for specialized care. Back at the house, the reality of the tragedy set in. A mother and son were gone, and a young girl was fighting for her life. Clark County Sheriff's Office, alongside the Jackson, Grove Hill, and Thomasville Police Departments and the 1st Judicial Circuit's Major Crimes Task Force, immediately launched a full investigation. Technicians combed through the house for evidence, documenting the positions of the victims and any clues as to what might have precipitated the incident. Investigators quickly pieced together that they were dealing with an appalling case of domestic violence that had escalated to a double fatality and SUI. Preliminary evidence at the scene indicated that Edward Raine had wounded Ashley and her 2 children before turning the firearm on himself.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaking day in the community. Ashley Howell worked at this Pizza Hut in Jackson, where customers Monday received their lunch, but not the guaranteed smile from their friend. A black bow remains on the door where Ashley Howell worked.
I met Ashley right here at this table. Every Monday morning we would sit right here and talk.
Now the Monday morning talks are quiet.
I don't think I'm gonna be coming back for a while.
We already knew something was gonna happen eventually. My grandma been calling my auntie since Friday. She never got a response.
Jashawn Taylor is Howell's nephew. He says the two have dated for years, but signs of abuse were always present.
We wanted to do that man something so bad so many times, but we couldn't. We couldn't. My auntie wouldn't let us. She loved the man so bad.
Howell's customers say they would have never guessed something was wrong behind closed doors.
I was really devastated. I mean, I just couldn't even imagine that happening to Ashley. Like I said, she was such a dear-spirited, wonderful spirited lady.
Everybody that knew her loved her. She was just a wonderful person.
Ashley Danielle Howell was a 39-year-old mother of 2, known among friends and relatives for her warmth and devotion to her children. In her hometown community of Whately, a tight-knit, largely rural area, she was more than just another neighbor. Ashley was a loving mother who worked hard to provide for her family. Her children, 8-year-old Jayden Howell and 11-year-old Jayln Howell, was the center of her world. Jayden was an energetic boy in elementary school, and Jayln an outgoing and kind-hearted middle schooler. The siblings were inseparable and well-liked by their classmates and teachers. The loss of Ashley and young Jayden and the critical injury to Jayln devastated those who knew them. In a small town where, quote, we all knew each other, news of the viol was almost beyond comprehension. Additionally, the Clark County School Board arranged for grief counselors at the local schools the Howell children attended to comfort their classmates and teachers who were struggling with the news. A family friend organized a fundraiser for Ashley's mother, and wrote that Ashley and her son Jayden didn't survive, but bless God, the little girl Jayln is fighting for her life. The fundraiser also encouraged the community to help in any way that they could. For Jayln, the love and support surrounding her will be crucial in the months to come, and she is not only a victim of a terrible crime, but also a survivor whom the entire community is rooting for.
Sheriff Dwayne Smith says the two were in an on and off again relationship, and law enforcement had been called multiple times regarding their relationship.
What should have been a loving relationship had turned into a nightmare between Edward and Ashley long before that April morning. In fact, court records revealed that in May 2024, he was arrested for an incident that in hindsight now appeared to have been a grave warning sign. He was allegedly threatened to wound Ashley with a firearm and end her during a domestic dispute. Although he was charged with domestic violence at the time, those charges were later dismissed. It is not publicly known why the case was dropped, but what is clear is that Raine was allowed to return to Ashley's life, and the danger to her and her children continued to loom. Raine's background was marked by a large history of run-ins with the law and vile behavior. His criminal record dated back to 2001 and included multiple arrests for domestic violence and assault, as well as other offenses like burglary and various alcohol-related crimes. In fact, records show he had even been arrested as recently as March 2025 on a burglary charge. To those who knew of his past, Edward Raine was a ticking time bomb, a man with a pattern of aggression. Sadly, Ashley and her family bore the brunt of that aggression.
Court records show Raine had at least 6 domestic violence arrests dating back to 2005, not all with Howell. 5 of those cases were dismissed, one resulting in a guilty plea for domestic violence assault.
If you are in a domestic situation that turns violent, don't go back to it. Turn and walk the other way. We will do everything in our power to help you get out of that situation, but whatever you do, do not go back. Do not go back.
Investigators believe that a domestic argument in the early hours of April 6th may have set Raine off on his final fatal rampage. Much about the final hours of Ashley and her children is still being pieced together by investigators at the time of this video. Neighbors in the quiet Whately community did not initially realize anything was amiss, and no loud disturbances had been reported publicly. Although Edward Raine was found deceased and is believed to be the sole perpetrator, investigators still need to answer many questions. What exactly happened in the moments leading up? What was the immediate trigger for Raine's fatal outburst? Did anyone hear the discharges, and how long after did it take for authorities to be alerted? These questions are part of the ongoing inquiry as police work to construct a timeline of events. Sheriff Smith pledged to uncover the truth of what led to the viol, treating the case with the same seriousness as any army investigation, even though the suspect cannot face prosecution. Detectives are analyzing the ballistic evidence and any communication records, such as 911 calls or messages from that morning, to fill in the blanks. They have also urged anyone with additional information about the family or Raine's actions to come forward. One particularly heartbreaking aspect the investigators must wrestle with is interviewing the sole witness who can potentially recount what happened, 11-year-old Jayln, once she is medically able. For now, Jayln's focus is on recovery, and officials have not discussed whether she was able to provide any statements. Local churches organized prayer circles for the Howell family, and at school, counselors encouraged students to share memories of Jayden and write get well cards for Jayln. Vigils were held in the days that followed, with candles lit in remembrance of Ashley and Jayden, whose lives were so cruelly cut short. Residents of Clark County expressed disbelief that such a gruesome event could happen in their midst. Many who spoke about the tragedy did so anonymously, not out of fear, but out of respect for the grieving family and the tight-knit nature of the community. May the family and friends of Ashley and Jayden Howell find solace in the happy memories, and may their souls rest in perpetual peace. My thoughts and prayers are also with Jayln, and I wish her a speedy recovery going forward. Thank you.